Welcome back to reality. Bonjour, mon chéri. Today, on another episode of Haute History, this look is inspired by Marie Antoinette, and I think it's a fun way to incorporate some modern trends, some like current trends that I feel like are pretty symbolic of her and the time period, and maybe some are based on stereotypes, but I'll talk through why I picked the things that I did. I'll chat about a little bit about the French none of those were words. I talk a little bit about the history of the French Revolution, just because I can't really talk about her life without talking about it. But this is a topic that's really interesting to me, and so I talk quite a bit, but I hope it's interesting, and I hope it make it interesting to watch the makeup and the chatting. Okay, here we go. Okay, so to prep my skin, I put on an extra layer of moisturizer, and now I'm putting on a Glam Glow Glow Starter Illuminating Moisturizer. I want this look to be really glowy and fresh. So maybe it's because I'm desiring springtime. So I'm putting this on before my foundation in hopes that it shows through in the slightest little bit. And this is just a nude color, so it basically just makes you look really hydrated. My skin is not in the best shape. You guys are not unfamiliar. And so I'm going to be using some different cream products because that looks the freshest versus powder products, but there's some powder things I'll be using. Anyway, okay, Marie Antoinette. She was born in Vienna. She's not French. I don't know if you knew that or not. She's not actually French. Her marriage was in hopes that an allegiance between the French and Austrian kingdoms would be beneficial. The kingdoms were often at war, and so they were like, oh, these two kids, they should probably just get married, and everybody wins in these two countries. So she's the 15th of 16 children of a royal family. And obviously Louis the 16th is Dauphin at the time, but becomes king. So she was 15 when they got married. And they got married by proxy, I think. And then she got shipped to France. So think about where you were at 15. And yeah, she was groomed to act a certain way and stuff like that, but she was still 15. Throughout this video, I'm going to be talking mostly about her, not as much about the French Revolution itself. I feel like there's potential for that to take over, so if you guys want me to do a video about the French Revolution, I think it's one of the most interesting times in history, I can, but this is about Marie Antoinette herself. So Marie Antoinette, that name is just the French interpretation of her German name, of her Austrian given name. And she's got 7 different, it's Marie Antoinette, Josephine, la 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 la. So, but we know her as Marie Antoinette. I've got some ouchy spots right now on my face, because I'm pregnant and me. So Marie Antoinette was young, and she married Louis the 16th, who was I think 16 at the time. So they were both teenagers, and he didn't know what he was doing. She didn't know what she was doing. And so when they got married and she moved to France, they weren't ready to rule a country. I just put concealer on. These spots feel as if they need them. Also, Joe is sleeping in my room tonight. So that means if I forgot anything where my makeup stash is, we are left to kind of fend for ourselves. But that's good, because that'll then force me to be creative about certain things. I'm gonna put more concealer on. I just feel the need to. Some people when they do concealer are stripe, all over, and I don't wear that much makeup in general. So when Marie Antoinette was born and married Louis, Europe was already not stable. Like, she just was not born into, like, a great time in European history. Like, a lot of wars were happening. The Revolutionary War was happening in America not long after. So, like, this was just, like, the time when the Enlightenment was happening, and so just, like, people were demanding more from life. Their quality of living, they wanted to be different. Wow, I said that really weird. People were wanting their quality of life to be different than what it was. So not only do we remember Louis and Marie Antoinette as, like, rich, indulgent, crazy, not crazy. They didn't mentally, like, actually go crazy. I think they probably would have. But to be honest, they didn't have the time to. And I don't really want to use much powder. Because, again, I want this to be a really fresh, glowy look. But because I have so much acne right now, I had to go full coverage with foundation. Let's just do our brows right now because I'm just going to go light because I don't have much of this pencil left. If you guys have a favorite brow pencil, drop it in the description box. So there are some things that we think we know and remember about Louis and Marie Antoinette. And some of them are true, but some of them are not true. So, like, she never said, let them eat cake in the way that we think she did. So, basically, they were like, the people don't have any bread to eat. And she basically just said, like, well, then they can eat this other kind of bread. Like, she just wasn't thinking like a monarch. Like, she wasn't ready to be one, but she also just, like, wasn't a good one. And she wasn't... Like, she shouldn't have been, like, the leader of a country. I'm going in with blush because we're going to do kind of a draping technique, I think. If you remember draping, it was, like, a really hot spring-summer trend in 2018, and I think it'll probably make a comeback. But we're not going to be shy about blush in this look. Usually I'm, like, just do bronzer, like, no blush at all, or just, like, really light. Going in with cream blush from ColourPop. And we're just going to start building it up. So definitely on the cheeks, and then it'll go into the eyes and kind of up. So it's going to look a little bit 80s just because they wore a lot of blush in that time. Ooh, I didn't put any eye primer on. Whew, that was a close one. Phew. And having been to Versailles, I'm, like, not surprised they had a revolution. It's beautiful. You should definitely go if you get the chance. Now, do not quote me on this, but I think Napoleon moved into the castle. So that would be funny. But Marie Antoinette had her own cottage at the other end of miles of garden. That was basically where she hung out because she and Louis did not have much of a relationship. They did not have much of... they didn't have a friendship, they didn't have, they had kids, so they, because they had to prove to the nation that they could. So I'm just bringing that, I'm using that same brush, just bringing it onto the lid, and we'll just see what happens. So they didn't have much of a relationship, so I'm not surprised that she had her own, cottage. That she was like, I'm just gonna, take all my ladies and maybe just, hang out on our own. But they really came to symbolize, not positively, just lavish irresponsibility. They just were so unaware of what was happening to their people, and they were so young that they just didn't know how to make decisions. They didn't know who to trust. They didn't know how to be good monarchs, but they also didn't really put a ton of effort into doing a good job or learning how. So that's got to be frustrating. One of the reasons I want to go heavy with blush is because it was kind of a look in that point in history, in like the later 1700s, that was really like in for people to wear really white face powder and then like a lot of blush and like little, you know, beauty marks and stuff. And that was, it was fashionable, but it was also useful because everybody had syphilis and venereal disease. And if you don't know what those are, don't Google it, because you probably won't love what comes up. I'll just let you know that there are diseases that you get when you have irresponsible sexual activity or just unwise sexual activity. That's basically what happens. And there's a lot of promiscuity at this time in history, especially in Europe. I'm just really taking my time with this blush, huh? And I want to bring it all the way around. Maybe not as intensely up top as it is here, but a little bit. I'm gonna blend it down a smidge. I think this is unique and fun. So they would use the white powder and the beauty marks. They would just be like little stickers to cover up their wounds, open wounds and scars from their STDs. Fun fact. I digress. Boy, do I digress. Okay, I am going to put some bronzer on because this is a modern take on a historical look and my own interpretation, so I want to modernize it a little bit. And I'm using a bronzer from The Balm. And I'm going to put that under here just to kind of bring those colors together. I'm actually going to take the same thing in my crease on my eyes as well. So not only did they, some of the ways that they were really lavish. One, the castle is incredible. Like I said before, I'll say it again because it's worth repeating. If you get the chance to go to Versailles, near Paris, in France, you definitely should go. It's amazing. Could easily spend a whole day there if you're like touristing. So the castle itself is like really intense and stunning. They didn't build the castle. I think Louis XIV built the castle. So a couple generations before, but they kept up the castle and they enjoyed the castle. Lots of parties. So after their like giant wedding celebration, when they finally first met for the first time, they continued to have lots of parties, give other nobles lots of gifts. Marie Antoinette loved her ladies in waiting. They were like her best friends. So she gave them lots of presents whenever people came to visit the country, you know, like other nobles. Give them lots of presents, you know, things like that. I'm also going to take the same bronzer on, just going to brush it out lightly on my lower lash line. And they were a king and queen and did have kids, so like every meal was like lavish and was an opportunity for them to enjoy their wealth, and enjoy it they did. There were even times like, well, one, Marie Antoinette had her own private cottage, which isn't like a cottage like my cute little log cabin. It's basically just like she had her own mini mansion. There's just a little definition of the eyes. Again, fresh spring light look. Okay, I have this fun teal color from ColourPop that I want to use. So my theme colors are pink and teal, or like Tiffany blue. And then I'll pop some gold in different areas because, one, I think those colors were stylish at the time, and a lot of like tea sets and gowns and wallpapers and upholstery, bedding, stuff like that. These colors were popular at the time. Lots of colors were popular at the time because more color meant you had more money to pay for the dyes and various things. But these are the two colors that I think of when I think of Marie Antoinette. I can't decide how to use this. I think I want to use it just like inner corner. keep it like fresh and maybe like outer, I don't know. Let's just do inner corner for sure and then see where it goes from there. Okay, so along with her little like cottage that she had, she had a like pretend farm specifically for her and her ladies in waiting to just like play shepherdess because they thought it was cute. They didn't realize that it was like some people's livelihood. Like they didn't take that seriously. There's actually a portrait made. Maybe I should have done like that much. That's like kind of a lot, but I'm also not mad about it. There's a little documentary on YouTube. It's free on YouTube called A Stitch in Time, and it's 4 episodes, and one of the episodes is about Marie Antoinette and this portrait that she had done of her in like a shepherdess gown that like the people just thought was so disrespectful and rude, just like making a mockery of her people, and it did not go well because she was like, oh cute, we're gonna be shepherdesses, and the people were like, you can play pretend all you want, but, like, this is our life and you obviously don't care about it. So that was something that happened. I actually don't remember who the artist is. I should, because I watched it and it was very good. The documentary is great. Okay, I think I do want to put a little, like the teeniest bit on this outer corner, because this color is very intense. I think it's Tiger Snapdragon. So stuff like that like she would play pretend, and she would like just be so oblivious to all the junk that was going down within her own country. Just no idea. Keep this fresh and light. We're gonna do a highlighter, obviously. What highlighter do I want to use? I think I want to use Mary Luminizer. I've been using that a lot. I'm gonna layer it onto my cheeks here, just like the tippity tops. Yep, just like that. That's exactly what I'm wanting. So, gist of the situation, the French, not even peasants, like just middle class on down, anyone who's not a monarch or a noble is starving. Their children are starving. They're starving. All their family are starving. This wasn't a great time for hygiene either, if you like remember that from history. I'm gonna blend out the middle of my face a little better. Just feel like the blush went in a little too far. And so monarchs, nobles, they're doing great. They're having parties every weekend. They're so oblivious to the awful quality of lives that their people have. And for a while, the peasants and like the normal people are like, pretty sure it's your guys' fault because you don't pay any taxes, but you're enjoying the benefits of like having a lot of money. We pay all the taxes. We think you should pay more taxes, blah, 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 blah. The themes of equality. Oh, shoot. What are the principles? Liberty, equality, and liberté, égalité, and shoot, I can't remember the other one. This is awful. You can look it up. It's really not hard to figure that out. I also had this color at the ready, but I don't think I want to use it. I like the colors I have. If you want to see me use this, I have like a mermaid makeup tutorial on my channel. I want to take some of that highlighter and put it, where did my highlighter go? On my lid. Just like the teeniest bit. I'm going to use my finger actually, because I don't want it to take over the makeup look. I just want it to be a little accent. Kind of help this crease situation meet up with the teal inner corner situation. I think I put too much color on my inner corner. I think it's like spread too far. Again, not wanting to go too far into French Revolution history, Louis and Marie Antoinette were in trouble. And they didn't really catch that drift until it was like way too late. That's why the let them eat cake quote is like, she just had no idea like what her people were going through or taking responsibility for the fact that they were her people to take care of. She was just like she was like too busy throwing parties and wearing expensive clothing. Not only that she didn't care, but she didn't even know what was happening. So some of that is like people think she like is just this awful human being when like she could have tried harder to be a better queen, but also she just had no idea that the kingdom was in like such rough shape, that the country was like in like massive need of help. She was just like so oblivious. She was 15 when she became queen. Like she just wanted to play pretend all day. Like she just did not even register that like, oh, maybe I should show up in different ways and that people would like really love that and appreciate that. And she tried to win their favor, but they were just like, you don't know us. First of all, you're Austrian. Second of all, you're not even like making an attempt to fix things. Another huge downside to this whole situation was that Louis was just not capable. He was just like not a capable king. I have some gloss here. It's like Mary Kay gold shimmery gloss. I'm actually gonna take some on my cheekbones, just like to keep it fresh and glowy without making it look like 6th grade. You know what I mean? Just like a little extra freshness. I didn't put any highlighter under my brow bone. We need to fix that. So basically, like, it wasn't all Marie Antoinette's fault. She wasn't even set up to be like a good queen. Like, she wasn't even given the opportunity to like try, because by the time she got in it, she had no idea what was going on, but her husband didn't. The king had no idea that like there was a problem. And so he couldn't be like, hey, I think it would be wise as my wife and like as queen to maybe like step up and like take these responsibilities. So at one point they realize that they're like super in trouble and they try to peace out. They try to flee the country, which isn't a good idea if you're like already in trouble because people are looking out for you. I'm gonna do mascara. People are like watching for you at every border, and I think they fled to Austria, which of course they would have guessed that they would go there because she still had family there. So that was unwise of them to do that, but they tried to flee in disguise, and of course they got caught, got placed under house arrest, and I think they did move back into the castle for a little bit, but it was not long before Louis was executed, and then Marie Antoinette was tried with a slew of crimes because there wasn't like solid law enforcement and structure and justice. Like people were just going nuts, like storming prisons and like just chopping people's heads off left and right. Like anyone in charge to give direction. Eventually Napoleon took over, well, Robespierre took over, and then people were skeptical of him because they were like, you just want the power. So he also got beheaded, and then eventually Napoleon Bonaparte stepped in. So that's very brief, concise history of the French Revolution. But they were not executed at the same time. Marie Antoinette was charged with a bunch of different things that who knows if they're true or not. It's just like what they came up with. They just wanted her dead. They blamed her for a lot of their problems. Like they didn't see her as someone even like worth like an actual trial. Like they just didn't take her seriously enough. She was such like I can't remember the words I'm trying to say. She was just like a huge mockery. Like no one took her seriously. No one respected her. I'm trying to decide which lipstick to wear. This one's like hot pink. I don't know if I want to go hot pink. I'm gonna do like a blotted effect, and then I'm gonna put this gold gloss on top. I actually really like this lipstick. It's a NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream. I wore it all summer. It's really yummy, and it dries down pretty matte, but like really comfortable. I basically want to look like I've just been eating like French treats all day, and that's like all I've been like worried about. On Pinterest, if you look up Marie Antoinette aesthetic, there are like so many funny things that come up. Just gonna blot that. I'm gonna let that dry down before I put the gloss on. So she was the subject of so many like political comics is what I meant to say. So many political comics, and even like such disrespectful like pornographic illustrations, and like just the most disrespected a person could be. None of the people, first of all, she wasn't even French, so of course the people were like ticked that she was even there in the first place. Much less the fact that she just wasn't right for that role. Like, she just like shouldn't have been queen. I have no idea what happened to their kids. That's just a part of history this part of history that I just didn't look into. This quote, this is from the History Channel's like website, like history.com. This quote is really good. However, it is clear that for the revolutionaries, Marie Antoinette's significance was mainly powerfully symbolic. So it wasn't necessarily like her as a person. Well, first of all, they didn't even know who she was, but she represented everything that was wrong, like with that time and the country at that time. She and the people around her seemed to represent everything that was wrong with the monarchy and the Second Estate. They appeared to be tone-deaf, out of touch, disloyal. Along with her allegedly treasonous behavior, writers and pamphleteers frequently accused the queen of adultery and self-interested. So the way that reads without the parentheticals is, they appear to be tone-deaf, out of touch, disloyal, and self-interested. Which is hard in history looking back, but like, they wouldn't have had a revolution if there wasn't some like truth to it. So basically, and I do gloss in my tutorials because I don't have to wear it for very long, because there's some ingredient that makes my the inside of my mouth feel weird. Apparently I must be allergic to something. I don't know. That is cute though. I do like the way that looks. Another article I was reading said that Marie Antoinette was a victim of circumstance. Like, yeah, she didn't take her job as queen seriously, but I also don't think she was set up to do a good job in the first place. Like, I love this. This article says she was a pawn on the diplomatic chessboard of Europe as France and Austria attempted to navigate the complex web of allegiances that shaped the continent in the wake of the 7 Years' War. So she was like a pawn from the beginning. They were just like, you're conveniently aged, and you should probably marry this guy. Like, it just, from the get-go, it like, she didn't actually care about like diplomacy and like monarchy and the well-being of the people in social statuses that were lower than her. She just like didn't even think about it. It's a huge bummer that Louis XVI was a weak king. I've seen that word to describe him in a lot of different contexts. Like, his weakness is what made him like a bad king. Like, he just didn't, again though, he was 16. But they knew he was going to be king. So I feel like he had less of an excuse than she did. Because she didn't necessarily know when she was born that she was going to be queen. So like the upbringing was a little bit different. Whereas like he knew from the get-go that he was going to be king, and just like wasn't ready for it, wasn't fit for it. Didn't take it seriously. You know, like I don't know much about his life. Maybe I should do him next. Louis the 16th. Louis the 14th would be more fun, because he was more like fashion aware. Anyway, whatever. It's hard too that this is a time in history where it's just like packed with scandals. Like, everyone was sleeping with everybody. Nobody actually knew whose kids were whose. And like everyone had syphilis. And like, and people just like weren't operating in like an upstanding way. And the church and the monarchs had all the power, and no one was doing their job well. So on that note, it's not really like that fun of a story, but Marie Antoinette is very romanticized. Like, she's seen as like a super sexy, rich, like there's like a lot of juicy story there. Even like the movie with Kirsten Dunst is like super just like fun. It's got like modern rock songs, and the costumes are a blast, and there's like scandals, and it's like super dramatic all the time. But like, so that's something that makes it hard to know like what actually went down. Like, what actually happened, like, we know that they were extravagant, and we know that the people were ticked. Like, and in that time of the Enlightenment, like, there was a lot changing in the culture, and the monarchs and the church and the nobles just, like, weren't ready for it. So with that, I think we're done. We were done a while ago. This could have been like a 20-minute tutorial, but I don't know what to say, okay? Her little cottage is stunning. It has its own theater, and I wasn't able to go in, but I peeked in the window, and like, I was like, someday I will perform on that stage. You know, it's like, oh, my inner actor, my outer actor. It's not really buried that deeply. See, this sweater has the pink and the teal, so even though it's not very fun and springy and light and like flouncy, I thought the colors matched, even though this is very fall. But you can see the colors, right? You can see them? Yeah, you can see them. If you want more deets on this sweater, I just posted, it's actually sold out on H&M.com, but I did a post about it on my Instagram recently. I hope this was fun for you, not only with like the draping and the pop of color and even just thinking about spring, like getting ready for spring. I had so many other palettes here. I have this one that I bought in Rome. I have this one that I've had since I was like 12. And I have this one because I feel like the colors are just so like, they're just like so romantic and like Marie Antoinette, I feel like. And I didn't even touch any of those. But it's okay. Maybe, I mean, I could have taken this look in so many directions. Yep, okay. I hope that this made you excited for lots of things. Spring and colors and boldness and not causing a revolution. Keep it real. Au revoir.